Hello, I am Joep. I am from Alkmaar. Yeah, do you want to know something else? Hello, my name's Connor. I'm from Stony Plain, Alberta. Hello, hi, I'm Claire. I'm from Kent, England. And I don't know where I am right now.
Hi everyone, my name is Zena Wood. I'm your host today on The Corner. Today we have Derek Mitchell here. You know him from Double Dutch. You've probably seen his work. You've seen him on internet comedy. You've seen him possibly live. You've seen him all over town and other people's towns. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Me too. I feel like let's just dive in. How's your week been? I mean, I did see you. We bumped into each other at the premiere at Boom Chicago. That was fun.
Chicago, yes.
Yes.
I love it there. I love being there.
Yeah, you were there for a while, right?
Yeah, I was a bartender there.
Bartender.
For a few years,
That's so cool.
and I was 20.
Yeah.
I was like young and
Yeah.
made some of my best friends there and really decided to become a comedian while I was working there.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
But did you study like anything in the theatrical arts like before that or something? Was it something you knew you'd wanted to do?
I knew I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
I went to go study after that, but I
Yeah.
didn't really like train.
Right.
I went to the UK, I went to England and I studied English literature, and then I did a lot of comedy and theater while I was doing that.
Yes.
And I did that because that's what like Monty Python
Yeah.
people and like Emma Thompson had done. And so I just thought, well, if I go there and do that, then I will have the same career as Emma Thompson.
Of course. I mean, that makes complete sense.
Logically, yeah. So that was my my inspiration for
Yeah.
doing that. But yeah, no, I
Great.
kind of did it myself.
I think what I find super interesting about your work as well is that you are so exceptionally good at character comedy, right?
Thank you.
And
That's
so,
nice.
yeah, of course. Of course.
Thank you.
So, like, were you the kind of person that grew up and was like making up these characters, you know, in your family house and stuff like this, or at the bar?
I think we kind of did that a lot in my house. I mean, I grew up in like a Saturday Night Live household, so that was
Yeah.
something that like my parents and a lot of the adults around me seemed to kind of revere. And so like the funniest Saturday Night Live is like a character comedy place. Like
Yeah.
it's character-led sketch usually. And so that's very much like an American comedy culture, I think, which I grew up in. And yeah, it was often just like quoting or doing impressions of SNL characters or impressions. I always really gravitated towards the women on SNL from a young age. Like I
Cool.
found them really like electrifying because like all the kind of boys in school and like the dads loved like Chris Farley and Adam Sandler. And a lot of them would say like, oh, Molly Shannon, she's like over the top. She's annoying. And I remember at a young age being like, you're absolutely like missing it. Like
Yeah.
what an idiot. She is the most electrifyingly like free, like her, Anna Gasteyer, Sherry O'Terry initially, and then like Maya Rudolph, Kristen Wiig, Amy Poehler,
Yeah.
Tina Fey, they all were just like the elixir of life. Like I just remember watching them and thinking there's something so free and radical about like how willing they are to just be like crazy and strange, and they're in
Yes.
such control of that, and I just adored that. But I think as a kid I was like self-serious and like not funny at all.
Yeah, that checks out. I feel like a lot of people in comedy would
You
say
find
that.
it later.
There's the darkness behind comedy.
I was a dark
right?
kid, yeah. Sometimes, yeah. I mean, I think most funny people, I think to be funny on command as a job is something you have to like learn usually. I mean, you have it, like you can either do that or not, but you have to hone that.
Yeah.
And then to really interrogate how that works for you is like a long journey you have to go on.
Yeah.
And I think that involves a level of self-awareness, whether or not people want to admit that. You have to like understand kind of what it is that you think, what other people think, how they behave.
100%.
The kind of art that I love most is when people become something different to themselves.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I think there's something kind of like primordially fascinating about that to me. So Meryl Streep is like one of the most important artists in the world to me. Like
Yeah.
I remember seeing her, I think the first movie I ever saw of hers was The Hours,
Yeah. Good one.
which is, you know, a perennial favorite for 10-year-old boys.
Such a
10-year-old boys
classic.
all over the world are wearing their Hours merch to soccer practice, as I was. But I just remember watching her and just thinking, like, you have, like, disappeared. There's, like, a new person in the room.
Yeah.
And thinking there's nothing more powerful on earth than that. And so it almost, like, I think my way into comedy was just, like, a pursuit of something that came close to that. And then comedy was where I could just be performing because, I mean, I've always had kind of, like, I think a weird vibe. And I never was somebody that was, like, going to be cast to play somebody's boyfriend.
Yeah. No, yeah, I mean,
Would
look,
you get Paul Mescal to do it?
I still think you might rock it, though. So, especially with what you said about looking at the women on SNL and, like, feeling that feeling about them and everything you were so ahead of your time.
I think it's just being gay. I think it's just being a gay
Maybe
kid.
that's another, exactly.
Yeah,
That's a whole layer of being an ally, for sure. All right, so I had a question from my friend's mom.
Okay.
My friend's mom wants to know, how do you know so much about divorced women?
Yeah, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
I discovered when I do divorced women characters that really, like, resonates, frankly, with divorced women.
She's a divorced woman, and she's like, the insight.
I mean, all I can say is that I think, like, when it comes to, like, character embodiment, sometimes the characters you embody well, that a performer embodies well, are in theory surprising based on, like, what their actual real life profile is. But they are, like, sometimes you have them in you. Like, sometimes the people you're best at being are often characters that you didn't even have to think that hard about. Like, sometimes like my divorced English Claire, that's her name.
Yes.
That was a character that I thought, like, oh God, like, I don't have any ideas for this. Like, I just have a wig and this cardigan, and I'll just go riff, and we'll film that.
Yeah.
And then that's a character that a lot of people are like, I really know her, I really like her, and that's such a flattering thing to hear. But, I mean, the truth about me is I love the company of women over 50, almost more than anybody on earth. Because I think similarly, I feel like, you know, society has done a famously and historically terrible job at, like, being set up to support women who are over 50, being aware of and accommodating to, like, what menopause is. I feel like we're finally, like, in this moment where menopause is a part of, like, a mainstream conversation for maybe the first time, like, literally in like modern history at least. And, like, that's insane because it's a crazy thing that, like, changes your body. It's like huge, and it's profound, and it's scary, and it's, like, horrifying, but it also, like, it brings you to a new chapter of life that, like, should be this exciting new chapter. But society often, I think, seems to think that, like, women at that age they're done. They can't have kids anymore. So, like, what did we do with them? And it's just, like, that's crazy. But, like, because of that, oftentimes those women have this, like, radical kind of ownership of their own power and this new agency, because they're like, oh, well, society doesn't need me. Well, fuck you. I'm going to go do my own thing. Like, where's the Pinot Grigio?
Yep.
And, like, being in the space of that energy is, like, to me, one of the most, like, electrifying, liberating, and powerful, like, spaces to be in. And I just love shooting the shit with those people because I think they're often really funny and really insightful and have, like, a lot of wisdom, but are, like, just don't give a shit. And I love that.
Thank you. Moving on to, like, the process, and maybe on a day that you're not feeling like you're tip top, and whether it be physically or mentally or anything, how do you find the sort of strength / openness to stand on a stage and deliver or be in the moment at least?
Performing and making things. That's, like, I mean, I don't really, I like, some people, I think, and maybe this will still happen to me in my life, like, some people go on, like, spiritual journeys, searching for spiritual answers. I was raised very religiously, actually. I was raised in, like, a Christian, like, a Protestant Christian setting, going to church, like, a few times a week. So, like, I had, like, a spiritual, religious language available to me. Ultimately, it wasn't really for me. But I also remember thinking, like, the adults that seemed to be, like, ecstatic about this idea of, like, a God that they had. From a young age, I was like, nah, it doesn't really work for me. Like, I don't really buy that. I don't get that. That's not, like, compelling. That's not a compelling story that you're telling. But what was compelling to me was Meryl Streep. And then like the idea of being able to like make something and like knowing that that would involve like a lifelong pursuit that I would have to give myself over to and sacrifice for in the spirit of creating something that I could then like share with other people that could mean something to them. That is like a spirituality to me. And I take it really seriously. And so even if I'm like really sad or like the void is taking over momentarily, then I think usually doing that is like is a bit of like a salve. Like it is kind of healing sometimes. Yeah. There are also days that it just is hard.
Of course. Like any other workplace or anything. One of my questions is, what is your relationship with the void?
Like as an abstract concept?
Yes, or something that you think about every day, like some people.
I think that, we're living in a time when it seems like a lot of people are, unfortunately, I think being taken for a bit of a ride by social media and technology and kind of crazy ideologies. And I try to exercise compassion for that first and foremost, because I think it's really easy to just decide those people are all dumb because they don't see the truth.
Right.
But the fact of the matter is they also, I think, believe the exact same thing about the reverse.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like rather than just allowing myself to disappear into that wormhole void thing, I think I try to be like, well, there's a reason why someone would vote against their own interests. There's a reason why somebody would want to like put a kind of authoritarian despot into a position of power, and it's because they're desperately lost or they're like desperately afraid and they don't know what to do. And then I always try and spin that for myself of being like, what a like a frankly privileged position to be in, to be able to be like, no, that's not for me, I'm going to choose something else, I have this choice. I think a lot of people feel like they don't have a choice about the void.
And that's pretty terrifying. Okay, which one of your characters would you not be friends with?
I think I probably like all of them. I think you have to
you'd want to be friends with them,
I think whenever I've tried to like do a character that is like somebody that I have the idea of whom like inspires resentment, or I think they're genuinely irredeemably annoying. Then I don't think it's funny. Like, I don't think it works. I don't think an audience is able to connect with that character. Like, I think you have to love them on some level for people to feel something.
I hear you. And I must say that is something that I feel when I watch your work, is that there's always this feeling of connection.
That's nice.
Yeah. It's got the relatability, obviously. Like, people can relate to these characters. But it's deeper than that. It's a bit more like you're speaking to, I don't know, what makes us human at the end of the day. And, like... Wow.
That's nice of you to say. That's exactly what I was going for.
Exactly, right? That was your thesis statement.
That's what I set out to do, remind everybody of what is human.
Even just in a simple way, it's just like you bring forth these feelings of connection or fun or joy, or even like, everyone knows what it's like to have a little Pinot Grigio on a summer's day.
Yeah.
Most of us. Yeah. Or something related that is these feelings of warmth, You really bring that out.
Well, thank you.
Worst gig?
When I was a student in England, and I was on the sketch team at my university, and we were invited to be guests at a big sketch show at the other university, I said to my friends, you guys, instead of just doing the sketches how we normally do them, let's like make a kind of big choice. So also just remember, we're like not on home turf, like we're actually the enemies on their home turf.
Yes.
So we go out to do like a half-hour set, which is way too long for like student sketch comedians to do, like truly way too long, like 5-minute max. And I just had the first thing to do, and so I went out there and I just like screamed at the top of my lungs, and immediately alienated the audience in a way that was unwinnable. Like, they hated us for the rest of those 30 minutes. So we did half an hour of student sketches to like pin drop silence.
Yes.
And the audience loathed us. And then so did my friends after that, because it was my fault and I ruined it for us.
So you stood on one spot and screamed, or you yelled stuff?
I think I had like a line that was like, oh, we forgot the pizza in the oven. And I came out and I was like, we forgot the pizza in the oven. And I thought that would be like funny for the audience, but then it of course wasn't at all, because they were confused by it and alienated by it. And then we bombed for the rest of the gig, and it was all my fault.
Yep. Yeah, I feel like that's a very good lesson in alienation for sure.
Lesson in alienation, lesson in big choices.
The opposite of what I think your work is right now. So.
Well, one of the dials I feel like that with time, like artistically I've learned about is that like I have like a weirdness in me, in my sensibility. And like a lot of what I love to watch comedically, dramatically, is deeply strange, I would say. Like it has a strangeness, like a weirdness and otherness. And I love that, and I'm very attracted to that. And in my things that I make, I have come to learn, again, through those insights of immediate people showing you on the internet what they do and don't like of your work, is that like people don't need that much of that from me. It lives.
That's so interesting.
It lives a little bit in what I do. But when I go like balls to the wall, I am David Lynch now, doing something Lynchian.
Yeah.
People are like, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Go back to the divorcee.
But don't you think, do you feel like you need to also have that outlet? Because like things like that could maybe live on like Adult Swim or something, you know what I mean?
I just don't, I think they do live on Adult Swim. I just think one of
Yeah.
the things I've learned as an artist, at least right now, is that maybe that's not, I think there are only like you have a limited amount of control over what it is that comes out of you. In line with your voice, in line with your talent, in line with your vision. You don't really get to decide what it is that you do that makes people feel that thing,
Yes.
It's sort of a thing that is decided almost for you, that I think is the product of like, probably like personality things that are part genetic, part nurture. It's also like where you're from, it's cultural coding.
Yeah.
It's like, it's your vibe generally. All of those things combine to make something that is like indelible and that like potentially makes an audience of people be like, we want to be in the space of this person.
Right.
And what David Lynch's version of that is like inscrutably bizarre, strange storytelling that's like a painting and like a nightmare at once, and like sublimates like horrifying like violence and like terror into beauty. And that was just like David Lynch. And when David Lynch would, in interviews, when they would be like, what was Mulholland Drive about? He'd be like, it was about a girl who goes to the big city to pursue her dreams. And it would be like, that's what David Lynch thinks that movie is about.
Right.
He's just doing his thing. And he didn't choose it. It chose him. And so I think that's also how part of maturing as an artist is understanding what my thing is. That's just what I do. That's what comes out of me, and people like it. And like the weirdness is just a dial of multiple dials. There's also truth, there's beauty, there's naturalism, and like all of those things combine to become what it is that you have to offer. And like part of your job is to listen to it, listen to the audience, listen to your life, and that's what you figure out along the way.
Yes.
If you're shoehorning it and being like, no, I want to be David Lynch,
right?
Good luck. Like people are going to be like,
Exactly.
well, we already have David Lynch.
Yeah.
We don't need another one, frankly. And like you're not as good as him, so chill out.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I mean, that level of understanding, and even like David Lynch had that. I mean, he has that quote where he says, to show a filmmaker doesn't have to show suffering for suffering to be in the room. They just have to understand it. And that's what you're also saying. You have to understand all these things that you can't really put in like a postcard.
Yeah.
But I do think the audience picks up on it. They pick up that you understand.
Yeah.
And if you understand, they can connect.
Yeah.
Which is wild.
Yeah. What's your favorite Lynch?
I don't know. I mean, you brought up Mulholland Drive, and that's like...
That's really special to me. You too.
Also just for what... he was for the industry at the time. Yeah.
A total disruptor.
Yeah.
Listen, Timothée Chalamet is young and he's very talented and he has a special thing and he's also very beautiful, and all those things combine to be what his art is. But I don't care for disruption that like feels like something a finance bro would say. I don't like a Timothée Chalamet proclamation, I'm going to be the greatest of all time. Because I'm sort of like, this isn't disruptive. This is like my annoying cousin saying like crazy shit at Thanksgiving. Like, shut up. How old are you, 10? What are you talking about? I
Yeah.
hope he wins an Oscar. I hope he wins that.
Yeah.
He really wants it so bad. David Lynch didn't give a shit about Oscars, actually. He didn't. And he famously
Right.
never won for Best Director. People still
Yes.
think of him as one of the greatest American film directors that ever lived.
Exactly.
And he was a disruptor just by doing it.
Yes.
And like he wanted Laura Dern to win an Oscar so bad because she wanted that. And he took a cow out on, I think, Santa Monica Boulevard and was like holding a cow in the middle of traffic with a sign that said "Vote for Laura Dern."
I don't even know that. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's a true story.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's disruptive.
Yes. Exactly.
Timothy Chalamet has a lot to learn
Yeah.
from David Lynch.
Get that cow, Chalamet.
Get that cow, Chalamet.
that cow
I
out
do
onto
believe
the
he was
street.
misquoted about the ballet and opera thing, though.
I think he was. I mean, I also think, people need to be able to be young.
Yeah.
They just need time to grow into their personality. Like, it's just
Yes.
a little, and we all needed that. I mean,
I'm so glad I
15
didn't
years
have like
back.
a microphone to shout things
That's the
into
thing.
when I was his age.
One of the things I've noticed that you also do is if you haven't been to a city, you ask people about it. And I feel like that ties into this like really nice relationship that you seem to have with your audience in your shows and then also before your shows or when touring. Is that something that just like naturally came up for you, or is it something that you feel helps your process and makes maybe the whole experience just more fun?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think I think one of the engines of the things that I make is like a real love for and fascination with language and the way that language and culture and like behavior and like group dynamics interact. Like I really love engaging with that on kind of like a abstract academic level, and then also in like a real lived way. And so I love,
Cool.
I don't really need to go see the Eiffel Tower. I don't really need to go to the big famous thing in the city that like has been photographed so many times and almost has like a life as an image
Right.
more than a life as a material object. Like I'll Google it and I'll say that's cool, and then if we
Yeah.
drive past it in a taxi, it's like, oh yeah, that's that thing. Great, I've done it.
Yes.
I don't really care. The way that I feel like I understand something of a place and feel like, oh, I've been there, is truly to just stand in front of a room full of people and say, what's the worst swear word you could say to me right now? Shout it out. Do it. Do it. Shout it out.
Love it.
And then oftentimes that group of people is shy about that and doesn't want to. And then that tells me something about how the culture works here. There are also places where people will immediately scream out the worst swear word. Spain, the Netherlands. There are places where they don't want to do that. Sweden.
Yeah.
And this tells you something about how there's like these little things, the way cultures tick and work. And like
Yes.
that's the most interesting thing in the entire world to me. So I really love that.
Have you ever toured to South Africa?
I haven't.
I'm South African.
You're
feel
South
like,
African?
Yeah, and there's all this. So like, there's all this talk of like how much more the Dutch are going to Cape Town and like Joburg, mostly Cape Town though, because of the beach, and it's the best. Because it's like the same time zone. They go down, they work from the beach, and there are just more and more and more people coming. And so when
Right.
I go down, I hear Dutch all the time.
Right.
And it is cool because so one of the languages we have in South Africa is Afrikaans, and
Yes.
that comes from Dutch.
Yes.
So I can understand Dutch,
Yeah.
but when I speak it, I do weird stuff, like I speak Afrikaans, but I change some words.
Yeah.
But I think for Dutch people going down, they love it because it's as if Afrikaans they describe as if Dutch kind of got stuck in history and then
Yeah.
didn't keep going. Like
Yeah.
there was like a time warp.
Yeah.
So when they hear Afrikaans, they're just like, oh my gosh, that's so cool and
It's
cute.
sort of, I heard, like slightly analogous to
Yeah.
Quebecois French
Ooh.
and France French. Because
Amazing.
similarly, that is like a slightly, like an early modern version
Yes.
of the modern European counterpart.
Yeah.
I want to go so
Yeah.
badly. And I've heard this a lot. And I've also heard, well, I just know that I have like South African audience. Like I know that exists.
You do. Yes.
And I think that there's definitely like, did you see this woman? I don't know what her name is, but she does these really funny videos where it's like, she's like, if Voldemort was played by a South African.
Oh yes,
or-
I actually saw that one.
Yeah, you saw that
but
one.
only that one.
She
and
has a
I
bunch,
actually don't know who.
and they're
who she
really
was.
funny.
Yeah.
And I noticed like in her affect and how she was doing this, and like what part of like where the funny is
Yeah.
like this just like incredible sobriety.
Yes.
Like this like real matter of factness.
Yes.
In like what are supposed to be these like heightened characters and scenarios. And I was like,
Yes.
that's also Dutchness. Like there is some overlap.
There
like,
is some overlap.
They're different cultures, of course,
Yes.
and languages, but I believe there is some probably slightly historical overlap and just like affect. Like I definitely think compared to like North Americans, South Africans are way more like emotionally sober kind of. There's also, I think, a bit of Britishness probably mixed in there.
It's fun to like, it's kind of like playing bingo of like, which influence is this? Is this the Commonwealth influence on us? Or which hand in the pie is like, because it all became part of our culture.
Yes.
And obviously the traditional cultures as well. So like, we're just such a big mix.
Totally.
Yeah.
So I really want to do a character, but the truth is I have to like really immerse myself to develop characters, because I think, at least for Double Dutch, what happens there is like, I like to make things that people see it and think, this is real, this is true. You know, that takes a lot of work. And I'm actually, right now, I'm developing a whole nother, like I'm learning a language and developing a thing for another character. But I intend to do a research trip to South Africa.
Yeah.
I would like to do like a housewife-like character.
Yeah.
I think like, I would love to do a character that's like a South African mom who like comes to the Netherlands to attend her child's wedding here or something like that.
Yes.
And it's like in, you know, Amsterdam or something.
Oh my gosh, there would be so many funny things, because there's something funny that South Africans do, especially I would say in like smaller towns, is that it'll be like this statement. It'll be like, this kind of stove is now in, like, and then it would be like, because in Amsterdam, because there's like a little bit of this, like it's come down, but it took like years to get to us.
Right. Oh my God, that's so funny. Well, if you know any South African people that I can go and hang out with,
I really do. I'm actually, after this, I'm gonna send you like a whole. I'm gonna send you like a whole research.
Yeah, I think
page.
I think I'm gonna go down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Can you tell our audience a little bit more about your specific creative process?
I generate ideas a lot. Like I that is like a talent I have, I guess, is that I have a lot of ideas. That does not mean they're all good. If I need a solution to something in something I'm writing, and I need like some sort of story beat to come to me, like I can kind of be like, okay, this is what I need, and I know that within a couple weeks max, it will appear to me. Like it will answer itself.
Yes.
I have like people I work with a lot and like love and think are like the most brilliant people who like don't have that thing. But they have other things that I don't have, that, you know, and so it's all like, it's just like one string in your bow that you have. And so I think my process is driven by an engine of the ideas coming. And then like, I think with time, I've of course had to develop the skill of like discernment and like knowing, both because of hard insights and also like a gut feeling, like what are the ones that are worth pursuing? What are the ones to shelve? You never know. Sometimes like an idea that was shelved works its way back into 100%. Something else. But like being kind of organized in how you write those things down, always writing them down. That's just, I mean, I think that's like 90% of my process. And then another part of the process is, I think, always exploring and learning through like creating in a like a genre, form, medium, agnostic way. So just like making things and figuring out what the form is, what the genre is as I work, and not being attached to outcomes, like not being attached to what the finished product should look or feel like. I think in the beginning you are, because that's how we understand the artistic process to work. I didn't have artists around me growing up. Like I had very creative people around me, but nobody was like an artist for their job. So I never saw process happening. The place you see process happening like is in movies, and movies deeply, profoundly misrepresent how artistic processes actually work. So yeah, that's just like a journey you have to go on, and I don't think I have like a fixed process. I think it's different for the different things I make. Like my show Goblin that you saw in Edinburgh, we're actually doing a 3-week run of that actually in London at the end of this year, which I'm really excited about. Goblin, that show, like. It's still, I think now more or less I would say like that shows like we're ready to do a run like this because it's kind of there. But that took like 6 years. And I like developed that myself, like with the help of wonderful people on a lot of different like levels. But I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And there was like so many times when we like I thought like, oh, now it's ready. And like, actually it was like really bad. Like I had to keep going and I had to push through.
And you did work in progress runs of that as well, right?
Yeah, a lot of work in progress. Yeah.
I actually learned a little bit from you with that as well, because especially with theater, I had this feeling of like, I need to perfect it, especially with the medium. Like, is this more immersive? Is this more, is it a musical? Is it straight play? And then I actually saw you were doing work in progress runs, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do a couple of those.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it's helpful.
Great.
It's really helpful. And I think that also comes out of like the comedy world.
Yes.
Because like, yeah, I feel like I really like to move and have moved between comedy and theater a lot. And like, sometimes when I'm in like a pure comedy space, I feel in my mind and my heart like, oh God, I'm kind of an imposter here because I'm actually like an actor. And then when I'm with like pure actor, pure theater people, I often think like, Jesus Christ, I'm a comedian. Like, God, these people aren't funny.
I'm so glad you bring this up, because I have a question about Goblin versus your Double Dutch shows, right? And I've seen both, and they're very different. Goblin is more like comedy theater, or like I feel like it's almost a hybrid kind of art form that's either coming back or changing, but it's like in depth. I mean, it's basically a play, but it's not, and it's got stand-up elements, and there's a very strong comedic background, especially in it, But then you have your Double Dutch shows, which felt much more straight comedy.
Yeah, and I think, like over time, it's just like getting comfortable with that. Because I ultimately do love being in both of those spaces.
Yeah.
Like I love actors. I love working with actors. I am an actor for sure. And like, I love to make work that isn't funny first. Like I love to make work that's about something, that's doing something else completely, and vice versa. And I love comedians, and I love like being funny with funny people on purpose. But I think it's just like a high. I just think I like myself, and I also think I am drawn to the work of artists who are people that gladly move between different worlds and draw from all of them. I think just doing the one thing all the time would be really boring to me. So
have you also felt that there's like a sort of resurgence of that genre of more of a like a comedy show, but with more like theatrical elements?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's always been a place where really like interesting talent has broken out and found audiences, because I really think a lot of the business people who are in charge of deciding what gets made or what gets money when it comes to film, television, theater, whatever, are pretty, I think they can really underestimate like the intelligence and the discernment of like even mass audiences. Like I think the truth is like everybody's always just like the suits who are in charge of deciding what gets made are always just chasing a trend that like the public is already increasingly moving on from, And so it's this like crazy game of like catch up that like I think audiences that just want to see interesting stuff actually don't give a shit about. And it's sort of just like, it's really just like when something interesting and strange and beautiful comes out, like in television, I think the most famous examples in like the recent memory are like Fleabag, Baby Reindeer, I May Destroy You. Those are all stage performers. And like it's material that was developed for television from a stage thing. And more importantly, it's material that like, without some like buzz or interest behind it, or some manager or whatever who is like really advocating hard for this work and for this person. Yeah. Like absolutely a commissioner would be like, Fleabag. It's a story about like this kind of grotesque like 20-something woman who like does despicable things, but it's funny and she's funny the whole time. Yeah. Like, that's going to be a cash cow. That's going to make us a lot of money, It's the unlikely things, but then the world says, we love this. This totally like speaks to us. And so it's just like, kind of endlessly like baffling when you then see like some of the stuff that seems to be made purely just to scratch an itch that's already been scratched, when I think most of the world
And
is
it
like,
never
where's the new
works.
weird shit? Like, I think people want to see stuff that's new and fresh and interesting.
I totally agree. And I have this hunch that it's happening. I don't know why, because when you look at the world, you would think at this point it's all just not going the way we want. But when I think about creative work and trusting makers and like trusting what comes out of people, and leading with more intuition, I don't know. I have a feeling that it's becoming more accepted. I mean, I look at someone like Chloe Zhao, right? Everything she says, I'm like, yes, and I've felt that. I've felt that as a maker. I'm right there with her, and there's so many people reacting to her, and so many women in film reacting and saying, yes, this is how I felt. These are things I've questioned, and the fact that these conversations are happening
Totally.
is great.
Nomadland is like, I think, one of my
Yes,
favorite films of all
it's so
time.
good.
Like that
Yeah.
film like seeped into my body
Yep.
for weeks after I watched
It does.
It did
Yeah.
something on a like a subliminal, like
Yeah.
subconscious level that like only like great art can
Yeah.
do, because
Yeah.
it's like more than the sum of its parts even.
Definitely.
That movie. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
she's fantastic. And I think that, like, you know, there's like really, really like huge, like black and white silver linings versus like intense worries around the way the media landscape is
Yeah.
structured now.
Yeah.
There are things that are really scary and like seem to not like bode well for especially artists about it. But one of the things that is true is that now, because content, as we like call it, which is like a difficult to pin down or define category of media, it is like the predominant form of media more than anything else.
Yeah.
And it's a democratic medium. Like
That's
it's a
the
thing
thing.
that anybody can make.
Yeah.
And I think that like audiences are like very willing to like engage with things that are questioning that form and questioning like what the difference is between content and cinema or content and television.
Yes.
And so like it's possible to make things for like not very much money
Yeah.
and really reach people and have people say this is amazing, and have something like really reach way more people and mean more to them than something really expensive that Netflix like tries to shove down our throats. And we're
Exactly.
like, we don't really care about that. And I think that's a
Exactly
beautiful
this.
thing.
Exactly
That's cool.
this. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because like Nomadland, that wasn't an expensive movie.
It was not.
No.
And I'm just seeing all this talk about how the whole model is when you're looking at films is gearing towards the $1 million movie or the $2 million movie.
Yeah.
You know, and those
That's A24. And I mean, A24 is the biggest production house in the world right
Exactly.
now. Yeah.
Yeah. What's a valuable thing that comedy has taught you?
I think like I by nature like am a perfectionist, like and that's a thing I like have struggled with in my life. I think it's like hampered creative processes, it's actually hampered like relationships, it's hampered my own like mental health and relationship with like wellness. And I think like knowing how to say no, or knowing how to like leave, like put a pin in something, leave it behind when it's time to do that, whatever. Yeah. So I think live comedy has just taught me how to, there is not a single live comedian working now. I'm talking like like Dave Chappelle, like the biggest live comedians all have bad shows and have amazing shows. Yeah. Like everybody has that. Like it doesn't matter who you are, because that's like a part of the job, you know? Yeah. It's like the same thing as like working in sales and like sometimes closing a deal and sometimes not closing a deal. Like it just is how it works, you know? And so like, and that being like acculturated into that work and that profession is just like learning somehow how to just let that roll off your back. And that also means letting the amazing shows roll off your back. Of course, like like sit in the joy of like, what a great bond I had with that audience tonight. That was so special. Nothing good or bad as far as that goes should stick with you for longer than 24 hours. That's what I believe. And I think that that's like a really good way to like approach hard shit and also extraordinary shit in your life. It's like enjoy it in the moment and then move on to the next thing, because there will be more. There will be good things and bad things more. You know?
100%.
And that's live comedy really teaches you that, I think.
Yeah. And so the differences for you between live comedy and internet comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Internet comedy is often about the edit, at least the kind that I make, which is pretty heavily edited. Like if you saw the unedited stuff, you'd be like, "Oh, this is not special. Like this is just a guy in a wig talking to himself."
Oh, title of your first book.
Guy in a wig talking to himself. That's actually really good. I kind of love that. But then, like, you know, what it actually is, and this is also like screen acting to an extent, is like you have to know how to like give of your energetically in these like highly compressed small moments iteratively. Like, so you have to be able to iterate, make it different each time, so you're giving enough for the takes to be different, so you can piece together and edit whatever. And like this small little like compartment of energy is where it's all happening, and that camera is like getting that, and the camera sees things that an audience of 2,000 people don't see in the same way.
Exactly.
So the energy is here, and then that comes together, and then also the talent is also comes through in editing. Like you have to know how to, especially in short form, which is like my bread and butter for now, is like, you know, you're talking at the moment max 60 seconds. Like it's really risky to try and push anything longer, because usually it ends up being a waste of your time because it won't reach people. Yeah. 60 seconds, like the cuts are like, we're talking milliseconds of difference between like the timing working and not. So you have to like feel it like musically. Yes. Like it's musical, that edit.
It's literally beats. Yeah.
And there's a music to live performance, but in that live performance, you're in conversation with a co-star the whole time. You're talking to the room, and they're telling you what's working, and then it's more like, it's like music and dance. Like you're really like feeding off of something that's being given to you the whole time, and it's big, and you have to play it big, but still be in control of that bigness. And it just is a completely different like energy source, I think. But the voice and the point of view and everything, that's the one point of overlap, is like the source, the artistic source is the same. Yeah.
Do you did it take you a while to find an editor that felt like you captured that? Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And do you know what's interesting? I have an editor. Okay. I have an editor who does longer form stuff for me. Yes. And there's like I have some fun longer form stuff in the pipeline. Yeah. That'll be coming out in the next year. Nice. Which I'm really excited about.
Yeah, that's cool.
And that editor I work with does stuff. There's a period of time, and if you look in my like backlog of videos, you might be able to see where this period is, where my editor was doing my short videos for me. And he is great. Like he's really, really talented. He's so good, and I love his work. Yeah. But like when it's short form and we're talking about that music, like you have to do it yourself if it's going to be the exact same voice. Otherwise it's a slightly different voice. And so I realized, like, when it comes to these short videos, like, I just can't compromise on that. Like, I have to do it myself. It's part of the process. That is process.
Oh, my goodness. You're speaking to something so fascinating now. It's so true. Yeah. It's the voice. And again, it shows you how much print, like how much of a print an editor has in the whole,
totally. You know. The editor is the part of the voice. Yeah. That's the whole thing. Yeah. And I think there's directors who wouldn't be nearly what they are without their editors 100. Who do all of their films.
100%, yeah.
David Lynch's editor, do you know many of the great editors are women.
I know. I just read a thing about this. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Mary something is David Lynch's editor. And see, we don't even know her full name. And she is absolutely
we'll find it.
Part of the Lynchian voice. Yeah. And I'm sure David Lynch, if he was here, I'm sure he would probably say that's true. Yeah.
Hey, David.
David. A pair of blue lips just comes floating over us.
So, as life was continuing, did you ever feel like you had the need to have a plan B?
Yeah. It took me a long time to be able to make my living from this. And I still live sometimes. I sometimes think, oh, it could go away. So I do. I mean, I had like a 10-year career in marketing. I mean, I worked in marketing for a long time.
Oh, that's interesting.
As a copywriter and then as kind of a creative strategist.
All right.
I learned a lot of really useful skills doing that kind of work.
Me too.
You did that as well.
I did a lot of for in agency world, agency and production.
I was always like brand side. So I worked usually freelance, but for brands for like chunks of time at each one.
What it teaches you as well, I feel, is that you're then trying to capture someone else's voice or a brand's voice. And that, I think, started made me realize that I had to think about my own voice. You know what I mean? Like when you see that people are actually strategizing behind a voice and asking those questions, you're like, oh yeah, I've asked those questions, but I haven't really gone in depth. And then that really like invites you to go in depth, and then that's very helpful.
Yeah.
Do you feel like being funny is a superpower? I feel like it probably is, right?
Yeah, I think it's a special thing to be able to have. I'll tell you what, I don't think I'm funny in Dutch. And that is something that is really devastating when I'm in a Dutch language environment with like funny Dutch people, because I just feel like the most boring, like earnest loser.
That's so funny. That's hilarious. Why is this like a timing thing or like
I think that for me, the way I feel funny, I think part of my funny in English comes from like an ability to like play around with language in a way that requires like probably like a native level understanding of the rules.
Yes.
And I'm not a native Dutch speaker, so I don't know. And also like funny is like a culturally coded thing.
Sure.
So like what's funny, even within different like versions of a single language, it's like British funny is different than American funny a little bit.
Yeah.
They can get one another, but they can also alienate one another.
Totally.
And so like Dutch funny is of course like circumscribed by the language and the culture. And what the way to be like, if you just translate literally like something that would be really funny to say potentially in English, and you try to directly translate that into Dutch, oftentimes Dutch people will be like, I don't know what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense. But not in like a whimsical way, and like just a purely confusing one.
Not in like a whimsical way.
Yeah. And then sometimes, I mean, I have like a lot of hilarious and wonderful Dutch people in my life, and like when they get together and they're saying funny stuff, sometimes they're cracking each other up, and then I know intellectually like, yeah, that's funny what you said, but it doesn't like hit me here.
Yeah.
So I don't get it. Like it doesn't, I get it intellectually, but like emotionally it doesn't strike me as particularly funny.
Yeah.
And like that's also an experience I think of like being a foreigner, and like that's a really actually profound and I think important thing to learn. I think if everybody could understand that feeling a little bit and then like have to from there like still figure it out anyway.
Yes.
I think there would be a lot less like ignorance in the world.
So true.
So
true.
Because to just like sit with being other in a way that's not threatening to you, it just is. Like, at that dinner party, it's like nobody's trying to hurt you. You're just like not a part of the joke, which is like just like part of being human sometimes. Like
Totally.
Grow up and get over it. And it's like just sitting with that and being like, oh, I'm okay. I survived. I'm fine. Like nobody is persecuting me. I'm all good.
Totally.
There are a lot of people, I think, who could really stand to experience that just once in their life, but they don't because they never leave like a little bubble comfort zone ever.
Yeah. I think it's a big part of settling, or at least finding yourself in a new country as well.
Yeah, you got to lean in.
Yeah.
The theme of this episode. Yeah. Yeah.
And now thank you for our sponsors, Lean In. The book from the 80s.
Yeah, the book from the 80s, which I actually wrote. A lot of people don't know that about me.
Oh my gosh,
yeah.
What a great fun fact.
Yeah. I was really young when I wrote it, but I don't like to talk about that.
Sure. Favorite Dutch tradition?
I think like King's Day is fun. That's like a fun day, especially like the Amsterdam version of King's Day in like the city center is like not King's Day for the rest of the country at all.
Yeah.
Like King's Day is actually like a very sweet kind of like folksy like village day where like the kids go out and sell crap on the sidewalk and do little dances, and like parents drink beer and hang out and there's like bands
So
and it's
cute.
like, it's really cute. Like it's a cute day. Like
Yes.
everybody in the city center of Amsterdam is like, basically like on the verge of hospitalization,
I know.
like pushing each other into canals, like starting fights. Like that's not actually what King's Day is.
Yeah.
And I didn't learn that until later. I like that tradition. That's a cool Dutch tradition.
Mm-hmm.
And I also like New Year's in the Netherlands. Is really
yes.
fun. New Year's is great.
Which is going to be quite kind of different now.
I know.
Since the fireworks ban.
But the Dutch love to like not really follow their laws.
That's
so
another thing.
I'm not promoting that.
No, we're not.
Don't come after me, Rijksoverheid.
So if you have a certain idea for like how something's going to play creatively, right, and it maybe doesn't go the way you want, and maybe some other life stuff is happening at the same time, and then pressure is high. Are there certain things like takeaways that you've taken from those moments? Is it a kind of journey that you've had with these moments?
Yeah, I mean, some things hit you harder than others. I think like a big part of this job and career is like learning how to just compartmentalize and move on from things. But yeah, I think like a relationship with like failure or like perceived failure is like a really important relationship you have to develop. All artists have a relationship with it because you fail a lot, I think, often publicly.
Yeah, exactly.
And like you're also usually signing up for that. Like usually you're deciding you want to have that be a part of your life. So that's not probably not like a surprise that like a lot of artists have like mental health issues.
Yeah.
But which is true. I mean, I think, I realized like everybody I'm close to in my life is like, I guess, neurodiverse in some way.
Yeah.
And I probably am too. My version has, I think like for me, like perfectionism, workaholism, giving more of myself than I have to give energetically and stuff has, frankly, I think often helped me. So like, I think certain of those traits for me have like helped me rather than hindered me. I have people in my life who are like artists, creative people for whom, like executive function stuff, I think like the ability to compartmentalize or cope with some other really hard things gets in the way of their process. And that's like a really hard thing to see or like walk with people on. Yes. But I think that we're in a time, again, it's wonderful to point out the good things that are like happening in this time we're living in. Because it can feel easy. It can easily feel like we're getting overwhelmed by the bad things. I think we're in a time where there's like a mainstreaming of a discourse of like neurological difference, like mental health stuff, like acknowledging that just like people are wired and work and like prefer to exist in a lot of different ways.
Yes.
And like to have a capacious understanding of that and to lead with like a gracious, acknowledgement and patience for somebody wanting to do something in a different way to you.
Yeah.
I think that is more widespread probably than it was like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
At least it seems like that to me.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really great thing.
I think the creative industries are also championing that because, think of the places where we work, like, you're either coming onto a set or you're in a rehearsal period or something like this. And I mean, the leaders or directors that I like working with, and I aspire to be myself, is that you create a neutral workplace, right? And to me, that means that everyone comes, they bring themselves from where they are, yeah? And now if it starts hindering the work, then this is a side conversation or whatever, and then we have that and we see each other in that way. But creative industries many times do work this way. They also work in terrible ways, but the ones that are great and led by amazing people work in this way. Yeah. And I think that's really inspiring for like maybe more corporate workplaces and things like this to learn from that openness.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And that like, the idea of like a whole person, like understanding a person as like a whole full of contradictions and complexity and things like that, where it's like, well, it's not a coincidence that like, there are when a group of people that all share some type of difference, so to speak, in like how they process information or whatever. Oftentimes within that group, you'll also see trends of like unique strengths and skills and talents that those people share that like people that lack that difference don't have. And so it's sort of like, if you look at the whole person, like everybody has something to offer and something to give. And like, you know, a collectivist approach to that says that like we've got all our bases covered if we have like a truly diverse group of people here.
Exactly. You know, you have your comfy blankie area, comfort zone, and then perhaps you have a stretch zone. I've heard it being called. Do you feel that you have to step in and out of these zones when you're working, or maybe also on an off day?
You know, I think like I spent a lot of my like adult life to now really being in the stretch zone. You know, I like in a way that sometimes I think I increasingly realized was like too much. I think my lesson of like my 30s now is like embracing the comfort zone where that is like a part of safeguarding my like well-being and my wellness and my happiness and my peace. Because I think I was very quick to just give of myself endlessly in the name of stretch and like putting myself out there and going, you know, like I am the first person in my family since like the immigrants from which I'm descended who went to the United States from Europe. The most recent one to do that like was like probably, I think that was like just after the war. That was my dad's grandmother. No, that's not true. I think it was like 100 years ago was the most recent one who went to America. And then further back, there were some who went in the 1800s. But since then, everybody stayed put. Like even just regionally, people stayed put like in the Midwest and had wonderful, beautiful lives. And they were all great people. I did not come this international thing that I've made of my life so far is not something that I came by naturally. Like I did that myself. I left when I was 16 and I went to an international school in Canada that I applied to myself kind of without really making my parents a part of that conversation. And I got a scholarship to go there and I left. And like, I mean, now I think, holy crap, if I have children, they're going to do this shit to me because of what I put my parents through. That's crazy.
Exactly.
But like, I radically felt the need to like be like not a fish in a big pond, like a fish in like a completely separate pond to the one that I came from.
Yeah,
and I like genuinely like on a deep level wanted to like reprogram myself culturally. Like I set out in the beginning, I thought like I'll become a Dutch person. Like I will become Dutch. I don't know why. Like I had this like, but if I think back on that now, I'm like, holy crap. Like I probably should have just like had some fun more. Like it was fun. I had fun, but I was always like studying. I was always like, you know,
I resonate so much with this. I also left South Africa. I went to New York and I was just like driven. Yeah. And when I cringe at how driven I was, like, because I'm like, what was
out.
I was a baby.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Chill out.
Yes.
Where did that come from in us?
I don't know. It's so interesting.
Because were your parents like that?
No. I mean, my dad travels a lot. He works in nature conservation, and so he was all over Africa and stuff. And yeah, that's probably my dad, honestly, to be honest. Okay. But actually, also his mom, she was a Afrikaans girl in a really tiny, tiny town. She couldn't speak English, and she got on a ship when she was 16 to become a model in London. Wow. And she couldn't even speak English.
Wow.
So it's probably that side. Although my mom's side's got some peeps too. Derek, thank you so much for today, really.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
It was great talking to you.
Cut! Claire.
Yes, hello, hi.
Hi. I'd love to know if you had to choose between a Chardonnay and a Pinot Grigio, what would be your choice?
Well, strictly speaking, I try to avoid booze, but sometimes of a Friday, I like to I don't know, read a naughty bit of beach fiction, and help myself to a glass of Pinot Grigio because I do think Chardonnay tastes like piss.
That's great. What is beach fiction?
beach fiction, some sort of paperback sort of situation where there's a horse and a topless man on the cover, and it's about a woman who's lost and desperately needs to be found.
I know exactly the book you're talking about.
Yes, I like to read them because it's a very different. I don't think of myself in this way, so it's a fun sort of escapist fantasy, as it were, because it's so different to my own feelings. Hello, I am Joop. I do not know if you want to know something else.
I wanted to know what your favorite cheese was.
Yeah, I just like cheese.
Gouda.
Whatever they have, I do not do so interesting about. All of it. Oh, do you have a cheddar cheese? I never like this. Brie. This is basically mayonnaise. I like for it to be hard, and I'll take off. I'll eat a bit of it, bit of mustard, and then it's okay.
Connor, can you tell me a little bit about the ice hockey season in Canada?
Oh
at the
God, I don't
moment?
know.
Well, maybe Connor doesn't either.
Oh, well, I'm not. Hello there. My name is
Okay.
Connor. I'm from Stony Plain, Alberta, and I'm one of the few Canadians doesn't really get into hockey because, I growing up, I had a bit of hockey-based trauma because my dad he would make us go outside and he'd chase us around with a hockey stick. So that's why I like to read and study insects.
And sex?
Insects, not sex. I haven't had that yet, but I like bugs.
Thank you, Connor.